Today is World Mother Languages Day. And we talk about, you spoke earlier about how we can emulate what the West has been doing, what the Koreans have been doing with regard to advancing their culture and the soft power that comes with being able to share your cinema for the world to appreciate. It is a wonderful, it's a foot in the door for someone to be able to appreciate our culture, our language. So how important do you think is for Tamil cinema, for regional cinema, to reach the world, especially on World Mother Languages Day?
See, language is something that has grown over the years, maybe 10,000 years. That's all, nothing more. So, but cinema, in a very short while, has become a language of its own, like the coding language that you come. Cinema has a language. So, filmmakers who understand the language definitely make better films because they communicate better. And some of them don't even go to film institute. They've just grabbed it from other films, imbibed it, and have started speaking. It's like a child learning to speak their parents' language. And I think the future is towards that. It's very wrong to call it Korean cinema and wrong to call Chaplin American cinema because it's actually British cinema. So Chaplin showed the way. You can transcend your nation, go across, come to Paramakudi. Chaplin will be enjoyed in Paramakudi as much as in New York. That's going to be the future of cinema because it's a language on its own. The way you place your camera is a statement, is a sentence.
Wonderful, a very interesting perspective about how cinema is a language in itself. And thank you for that, sir. But now I want to remind you of the famous dialogue from Nayakan. Ninga nallavara kettavara. We never got the answer for it. For those of you who don't speak Tamil, this is an iconic dialogue which says...
Why do you expect the answer from Nayakan? Go stand in front of your mirror and ask that question.
Are you a good person or a bad person? That's what the dialogue translates to.
I till date, I've stopped shaving now, so I spend little time in front of the mirror. Otherwise I'll be... All those times I spent in front of a mirror while making myself into some other character, I've never found the answer. I could be both. Depends on the point of view, where you place the camera, who places the camera. If it's my camera, I'm a good man.
So, but coming to Thug Life, and we have Rangaraja Saktivel Nayakar. Nallavara, Kettavara. Padam paathadan theriyuma.
Amma.
பட் முன்னாடி கொஞ்சம் ஒரு ரெண்டு வரியாவது சொல்லுங்களேன் சார்.
அப்போ திருப்பி போய் மணிரத்னம் சாரை மீட் பண்ண வேண்டாமா? என்ன சார் அங்கே போய் நான் கஷ்டப்பட்டு இவ்வளோ எடிட் எல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், எடிட்டிங்கே இல்லாமல் தட்டி விட்டீங்களே நீங்கள் மொத்த கதையும் அங்கே அப்படின்னு கேட்டாருன்னா நான் என்ன பதில் சொல்ல முடியும்? ஸோ ஐ திங்க் ஷீ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் த சிச்சுவேஷன் பெட்டர் பிகாஸ் கதையே சொல்லாமல் ஏதோ அவர் சொன்ன மாதிரியும் அவங்க கேட்ட மாதிரியும் ஒரு பிரமையை ஏற்படுத்திட்டாங்கல்ல, அதை தான் நான் பண்ண முடியும். அதுக்கு மேல
இதுல கூட ஆன்சர் கிடைக்காது. தக் லைஃப் பார்த்ததுக்கு அப்புறம்
தக் லைஃப் பார்த்தாலும் ஆன்சர் கிடைக்காது. நல்லது கெட்டது சேர்ந்தது தான். கணக்குக்கு எது முக்கியம், பிளஸ்ஸா மைனஸான்னு கேட்டா.
So I love the analogy, but is this what it's like to work with him on a film? How do you stay in character for a role if this is what conversations are going to be like? What was it like on the sets of Thug Life?
You know, he finds it a cliche, but every time you work with a Kamal sir, it's really like going to school. It's like pretty much unlearning everything you've learned and learning something new.
Yeah, she came to school with me. She wouldn't like to admit it because...
I did.
Yeah, with me.
I did, yes.
I also go to school every time I make a film.
And that's why he is...
I hate the idea of that Guru Stan, you know. That okay, Mr. Balchandra had to suffer it. I will not suffer it. I will remain a student and go to school with Trisha and probably your daughter.
But sir, Can we maybe convince you to suffer it and start a Kamal Hassan film school? Because you were talking about how learning and skill development is the independence movement for the film industry. You've always been one where you don't wait for someone else to start it. You get it started yourself. When can we expect the school?
I think you're overestimating the teaching profession. Because a PhD goes back to his village and touches the feet of his fifth standard school teacher. So that's all I can be for the future PhD. I can't follow him all the way to his university. So I can only give the basic thing, but I can gather talented people for various faculties. Because cinema is not just about actors. National Geographic is cinema to me. When I see it, I see drama, I see emotions, I see I become what Shankaracharya calls the Sakshi Bhutam. We are all Sakshi Bhutam for what is happening there. We cannot interfere, we should not interfere. So that's what I can be. I can't interfere with the growth of the future actor because I'll be teaching him wrong. I'll be teaching him acting of my time. It will be useful for him, like my predecessors' acting talents have been very useful for me, but I cannot exactly copy it and bring it forth to an audience who doesn't even know where I learnt it from. So they are just watching this. And I think I'd love to start a school, but that school is not where I will be teaching. I'll be learning. In the pretext of running a school, I love to go back and sit with the students and learn because so many things are changing every 6 months. There are fantastic teachers within the audience sitting here. But that alone will not do. You need 12 more people like that. We have solid, strong faculties like 12 people on the top. Now, as I said, we need to start schools, ITI. Okay. So, ITI is very important because we go into a set and the top guys who are working are about 7, 8 people. The rest of them are very essential for that set and they must have skills or the set will become a chaos. So who trains them? They must be sheer genius to have picked up whatever they have picked up with no teachers teaching them. All of them are Ekalavyas. There are no Dronas teaching them what to do on their own. Wanting to be like that Drona, but they learn on their own, the light boys. Once in a while, a busy director will say, don't do it like that. That's the time a director can spend teaching on the set. He can't afford to. So I always tell assistant directors who come to me and say, I'll work with you and I'll learn cinema. You can't. I'm so busy saving my backside, I can't be teaching you. And please tell me why I would take you as my assistant. Would I do that to a driver who says, I don't know anything about cars, but with you, with your guidance, I'll become a fantastic driver. Yeah, what happens to me? And much worse, what happens if you're a cook and you're going to learn at my expense? So the same will apply for assistant director, camera assistant, focus puller, light, the man who holds the cutter so that the light doesn't fall on the wrong areas. All that we have to now invest back. And I would love to go to those classes because I'm sure that nobody taught me those things. So it'll be a new learning.
Well, sir, attendance will be through the roof if you are attending those classes. So we hope you do that. It will encourage more people in the industry
No,
to
I did
upskill.
that. In Los Angeles, I went to a school, and one Bengali gentleman who was also an alumni recognized me, and the whole thing, he introduced me to everybody. Then I was no more a student, so I had to walk out.
So, Trisha, I want to ask you, because Kamal sir is unbelievably humble and he's not going to talk about his legacy or his contribution to cinema. What, in your opinion, is his impact on cinema?
You know, he pretty much answered that for me over the last 20 minutes. The very fact that he thinks he is still a student, that is the kind of impact he has had on me, because I think I've known Kamal sir for about 15 years now. We've worked on 3 films. It's amazing that, like he said, there is no hierarchy when he's on set. Whether it is me, whether it is a character someone playing a character, whether it is a child in a film, he has inculcated how important training is for a film, and everybody here is just a student. And the childlike enthusiasm and the 100% commitment and conviction he gives to anything. And as everybody knows, he has donned so many different roles besides being an actor, and he has excelled at all of them. So you don't know which is better than the other. And he's one of those rare cases, I would like to say, is the jack of all trades and the master of all of them as well. Yeah.
I like that. Well, just to shift gears for a second, I want to ask you first and then come to Kamal. So what do you think is the role of, organizations like FICCI and the government with regard to supporting the Indian media and entertainment industry?
See, I think the government is very important in terms of supporting the film industry. And thanks to FICCI, we have what we're doing today, where we can sit, we can discuss, we can dilute, we can encourage, we can put out our thoughts, our views, our ideas, and there can be a one-on-one banter, or even I wouldn't say an argument. Everything is debatable, and this is carried forward, to the people concerned through FICCI. So I think things like that are very important, so even our voices are heard. So, yeah.
And the reason why FICCI was started nearly 100 years ago, it was a very precise moment when Gandhiji decided that must be done. And right now is when the British government decided, after proclaiming Victoria as the Queen of India, it came as a shock for those citizens. And after a few years, they decided to mint money in India for as Indian currency. That's when FICCI was started. Then he said, we have to be part of this change that is happening. That's when he said the famous statement, there is enough for every man's need, but not enough for any one man's greed. That was said at this meeting. And that's the kind of visionary we had. And like she is astounded at things I do, I am still astounded by what Gandhiji did. Did you know that he wrote with both his hands? And he never used carbon paper because he thought of carbon emission then. Wow. So that's the kind of man he was. He thought of FICCI, and he didn't think on his own. He had peers, and he was involved in the constitution making of India, and he had very little to say. All of them who made the constitution took it to him for correction, like a teacher. He said, no, I'm very sure you have deliberated and done the best. But I want, if at all, any correction I'd like to make, any statement in the Constitution should be beneficial to the least rich man in society. If the Constitution achieves that, it's a complete work. That's what he said. And most of the Constitution of India was written here in Mylapore. Yeah, all of them. Ambedkar came here. It was written in Lust Church Road, in Mr. Alladi's house. I've sat in that room and he had marked it. Mr. Alladi Krishnasamy has marked the chairs where Rajaji sat, where Ambedkar sat, and I've touched those chairs. I'm that continuation, and I'm proud to be that. And FICCI is that continuation.
Sir, can I just say, just like how Jennifer Lopez inspired Google Images, it's like, I feel like artificial intelligence and like ChatGPT was created inspired by you. Because in this one conversation, we've understood the history of our nation, found anecdotes where we can take pride in the city that we live in, we've grown up in, and I must commend you on that. You inspire every single one of us to continue to be students of life and students in the Kamal Hassan School of Life.
Yeah, if you had asked me these questions about 30 years back, I may not have had the same answers. I'm growing.
Thank you for helping us grow with you. But I want to come back to this wonderful film that you haven't told me anything about, which is Thug Life. Can you at least tell me, it's a multi-star film, who are your co-actors? Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Definitely, it's a multi-star film because there are some of the actors in the film who are going to become stars. If you include them, it truly is a multi-star film. And of course, we also add to it. But it's a kind of film which Mani wanted to do, I wanted to do, so we are doing it.
Well, when do we get the viewing pleasure for this film?
June 5th.
June 5th. Wonderful. And Trisha, who else do we get to see on screen in this film on June 5th? Who are the other about to be stars and already stars whose stardom is going to grow with this film?
You know, I will get a
You
phone
know
call.
only one part.
Yes, I will get a phone call from Mani sir the next minute I leave this podium, because that's how he's very silent about the work he does, right? So,
Which is why we're trying to get you
And
all to do
also-
the talking. I would not dare to ask Mani sir these questions.
No,
I'm well trained by
No,
him.
but the thing is, the story is conceived in such a way, some characters that I interact with, she'll never interact with. And it's a separate part of my life. And so it is like that. I mean, not all people working with me will attend FICCI meet. It is like that. So the story has so many characters, very talented actors, and from Malayalam, from Hindi cinema, from Telugu cinema, we have all sorts of great talent. The talent that I would have, each one of them are capable of holding a film on their own.
Well, that's an incredible introduction, and we're all going to wait with bated breath for June 5th. But sir, I want to ask you this. How do you stay so on top of everything? Like, we saw the interview with Shruti and she was talking about how your emoji game is just next level. How do you do this? Like, how are you so clued in with every generation that comes?
No, people thought I was a good child actor. I was just a mimic. I was a parrot. All these emojis, I'm mimicking. I don't know about it. So if you give me something exciting, you teach me a game, I'll play it. Whether I'll excel in it or not is another thing to be seen. But I'll play the game. That's what it is, probably what Shruti ji was mentioning. Must have been that. I'm enthusiastic about any new learning, except mathematics. That's why I came to cinema.
Don't worry, sir. You make us feel a little bit better. We can all relate in the fact that there's one thing Kamal Hassan's not great at, which is mathematics. So it's nice. It adds to your relatability factor, and I love that. I want to ask you, how clued in are you with the Gen Z lingo that we see everywhere? Do Do you need flashcards and someone to help you translate it, or do you know what's happening?
No, I don't know what's happening at all. He probably knows better. Everything, the Gen Z generation, there's so much I learn. Like just last week, I learned that. Yeah, it's a bit hard to keep up with.
You can't keep track of it. I was just talking to somebody who was teaching AI, and she didn't know a particular guy who has come up with the coding program that's banned in some of the American schools because the children are excelling in coding. And that's called reputed.com. And it's done by Masad, Javed Masad or something. And it's fantastic. And I didn't poke my nose into it because so much maths in it. I got scared. I could have gone back to MCT Mutejetiar High School to suffer it. Why go to America?
Sir, on that note, I want to say thank you so very much for your candor, your humor, your wit, and of course, the wealth of knowledge that you always bring to every interaction. Thank you for this. Trisha, as always, radiant as ever. Thank you for lighting up the stage. Thank you for being here with us. More importantly, thank you for joining me in fangirling over Kamal, sir.
Absolutely, it's an honor.
Sir, I would love to take audience questions, but in the interest of time, we have a day-long summit. There are other people who have to take the stage as well. So please forgive me. Thank you so very much for understanding.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
May I please invite the two of you to just step up for a photo op?
Yeah.
If that's all right.
யாராவது ஓடி போறாங்களா? யாராவது சேசிங்க போறாங்களா? யாராவது சேசிங்க யாரும் போறல. பேச மாட்டாங்க. நீங்க பெரிய இடத்துக்கு
இருங்க, நான் ட்ரைபாட் எடுத்துறேன். முத்தே முத்தே
என்னாச்சு?
ட்ரைபாட் எடுக்கணும்.
ரிலாக்ஸா இருங்க, ரிலாக்ஸா.
இல்லடா, ஸ்டாண்ட் போட்டீங்க. வயிறு குத்தாலே பிரச்சனை தானே.